Hey, AJ from the Moto Academy here. We're doing a breakdown. We're back with another breakdown. Daytona. We did it. We raced it. Certainly didn't make the main, but we were there. We had some fun. And now I'm going to break it down from a racer's perspective and from a riding coach's perspective. We're going to do an analysis here, try to make sense of everything that you saw, whether it's passes, crashes, or just straight up highlights of the race, maybe talk about one or two of my moments as well. This is a brand new YouTube channel, so it would be greatly appreciated if you guys could subscribe, give us that boost in the algorithm. We need it. We need some subscribers, so hit that subscribe button down below. Also, if you guys want your riding footage analyzed and you want a personal breakdown of how you can improve, go to club.themotoacademy.com or go to your app store and just download the Moto Academy app. Get inside of there. We're constantly dropping new content. We have hundreds and hundreds of hours of collective content and footage inside of there. And there's a direct messaging system where you can send me your riding footage to just be analyzed, broken down. We can have conversations. You can ask questions. It's quite cool. All right, so we're going to dive right in. We're shooting this from my balcony, and naturally, it's just so freaking noisy here. So if you hear trains, helicopters, and loud cars, just disregard. Okay, what do we have? I haven't watched any of these, by the way, so I'm just calling these as I see them on the spot. Really good. I mean, Hunter, just the Honda guys just look so good. Not biased or anything when I say that. 3-2 inside. The cool thing about, or the interesting about this weekend is it was the same track. That's never happened. I had a conversation with James Stewart, which that was also pretty cool. We were walking to the track before track walk or before the heat races or before qualifying, something. And I was like, have you ever in your career had the track be the same 2 years consecutive or just have the same track ever? And he's like, nope, never seen that in my life. So Carmichael must have just got lazy with it, didn't feel like designing a new track. So that switchback section before the finish was identical to last year. And I actually like it because it's really fair. Honestly, the whole day I kept switching up whether I went right or left. So if there was a guy in front of you, you would just pick the alternate line and try to go as fast as you could and hope you could come out side by side. I really thought that section was super fun. Heat 2. I watched this after I got done with my heat race. I had Peacock pulled up on my phone in our pit area, and I'm like, oh, good job. Craig got a whole shot. That's cool to see. I'm like, why does Craig look so short? And I looked over to the left on the screen, and it was Hampshire. I had no idea that Hampshire was riding the 450 class this weekend, and then he wins the heat race. Who would have thunk? I mean, over Cooper Webb and Sexton? That's incredible. I mean, that is awesome. Good on him. Gets the whole shot and leads every single lap. I would have bet all the money into my name that would have not happened. So that's incredibly impressive. Looked good. Looked better than he does on the 250. So that's a good sign. Moving on, 250 LCQ. This is probably your boy. What we did here. Where am I? I actually got a good start. So this is me. Oh, this is me right here. I purposefully let off early. Now, probably a little too early, but the strategy here is I knew it went left, right? If this start went left and then right, I would have certainly held it on a lot longer and owned that start, but I let off early just to make sure that I could hug that tough block as tight as possible and come out on the inside here. Then what I did, just pretty casual with it, I'm like, all right, I'm third. We're feeling pretty good here. Probably could have pushed through that rhythm a little faster. I get to this turn, and the strategy here was, okay, I'm going to position myself, because it's an LCQ, you got to be careful. Let's position myself as close to, and I always talk about this, as close to this tough block as I can to just, notice how nobody's out here, just to protect myself, right? So far so good. I'm doing the right thing. And then I just get completely annihilated. But in watching this footage back, I was furious, by the way. But then when I watch it back and really think about what happened, so far so good, so far so good. Now, with these two guys here, I didn't like what I was seeing. It just looked like Hawkins on the Rockstar Husky was going to fall on top of whoever this was right here. It just didn't look right from this angle. So I think that's what scared me and made me cut down. My advice is always on lap 1, do not do what I just kind of did there, which I didn't really cut down super hard, but yeah, I guess I did. I only used half the berm. You can't do that on first lap of an LCQ because you're going to end up in this situation. What I should have done is I should have kept riding up towards his back tire and followed him to the end of the berm, because let's watch the 243 behind me. Gosh, I mean, he was lining up something pretty aggressive anyways. I think that it was probably slightly unnecessary on his end, and it could have maybe been avoided on my end. So we'll give that 50-50. Oh, I was so bummed because I don't really mess up LCQs. Like, if I get a good start, I'm very consistent, and I can just I could just stay up there. And then, check me out. Flying off the berm at the top of the screen. Oh, this is a good angle. So, Dr. Irresistible. Ryan got this on his iPhone, I think. There's me hugging the tough block. Beautiful. Looking clean. Good style. Everything's okay. I'm like, all right, we're going to qualify easily. And just that hurt so bad. It didn't look bad from that angle, but he hit my boot, so I still have a dead leg from that. And then right here, I see an opening on the right, and I pin it. And right when I decide to pin it, number 170, right here, decides that he's getting impatient and doesn't feel like waiting for the inside line, and he darts to the right. So literally, right when I make the decision here to just go wide open, he swerves. And when that happens, we lock elbows and hit handlebars. You can't see it. I'm on the other side of him. We hit handlebars as I'm flying through the rollers, and I just couldn't possibly get stopped. It was actually a miracle that I didn't absolutely launch that berm. So in my book, I'm happy that there was aggression there on my end, right? Like, I saw an opening and went for it, but I went for it right at the right time when he turned right, and it could have worked. I ended up coming back from dead last up to 9th, so I passed like 10 guys, got hit again, ended up DNF in the moto. But overall, can't be upset with adding a little aggression in, considering I'm the least aggressive rider of all time as of late. Okay, moving on. Next clip, Rans. I think he crashed on the quad. Let's see, 3 on. So far, so good. A lot of guys getting cross-rutted and kind of cross-jumped in that pocket. Whoa. Ouch. That looked like he got pretty lucky. He didn't hit the ground actually that hard. Bike pummeled him for sure. The difficult part about this jump is that pocket was extremely cupped out. Even when you would go on-off, even when you would land right where he's landing right here in that pocket and just scrub and go step on, step off and aim to land here where my mouse is, where the clicker thingy is, that even felt abrupt. But when you had to hit that, this is second gear, maybe third gear on a 450 wide open, it was very easy for it to compress and unload your suspension a little too quickly and lawn dart you kind of either off to the right or off to the left. And it was hard. It's hard to tell which direction it's going to do that in real time. All right, next clip. All right. The Hunter Thrasher Takeout. This crash, takeout, whatever you want to call it. 1 to 10, let me know in the comments. Was it dirty? 10 being the most dirty. How dirty was it, if at all? The way I describe this is Hunter saw a pass opportunity, and when you're a confident rider, you can kind of see how the race can play out in front of you. And when you see an opportunity, you can either take it or leave it. It could completely change the trajectory of your race, theoretically, if you don't make this pass here. So you can see, and we'll let it play the other angle. When he gets midway through that sand, he sees the opening, and right here, he grabs a handful of throttle and he's going for it no matter what. And right here, you can see him re-accelerate right at this point. At that point, he doesn't care if Thrasher's ending up on the ground or not. If Thrasher ends up as collateral damage, then that just is what it is. So that's some hardcore thinking. I mean, that's just full commitment. Now, man, being on the first lap, that's where you would be like, oh. And I guess the comparison I would use is, would Jet make that pass, right? Is that showing that a rider is extremely confident by doing a move like that? Or is that showing that a rider is lacking confidence because they don't have the patience to wait? I don't know. I think Hunter is just so confident and so headstrong, and he's just owning this championship that he just didn't care, and he just wanted to go, and it didn't matter what Thrasher ended up doing. If you're racing for the win, I guess I get it. I guess I get it, right? Would I be happy if I was Thrasher? No. I'm trying to be as objective about this as possible. When Thrasher did the cross jump, I tried to explain to people that it did seem as though that was a complete accident. This was not an accident. This was a planned attack, and I just don't think that Hunter cared if he made contact or not. Not to mention, a lot of people talk about how Thrasher was cutting in. It's sand. It's impossible to remain in the same line every time. I don't think Thrasher meant to really do anything other than to get around that corner. And even what Hunter did wasn't necessarily 100% intentional right here. Hunter just was trying to basically just not fall. I mean, look at his upper body stability, though. Even under making contact, Hunter does such a good job of keeping that core strong and keeping his head centered. Yeah, let me know in the comments. I'm in between on that one. Naturally, I'm better friends with Hunter than just about anybody at the races, so you could say I'm biased in my opinion, but then again, I do try to be as objective as I possibly can. All right, we got the Vial crash. Probably just lost his drive in the whoops. There were a couple of rhythm sections that were really steep. The third one in this rhythm and the third one in where Moseman crashed. We probably had that breakdown for you guys as well. Really steep. So let's see. Could we have avoided this crash? Yeah, so I don't think he leveled out enough. I think he does hit front tire first, but I don't think he doesn't do front tire first enough, and he leans back a little bit. And so what that does, and he's probably not the tallest guy in the world, that catapults him over the front. So solution here is try to land a little bit more front tire first, and when you do, try to assume a little bit more of your standard attack position when you impact. So try to keep your head a little further forward here, chest a little further forward. He did his best, but that, I mean, I think that's savable. I really do. I mean, he got pretty lucky too. Sure, that didn't look like the best hit in the world, but certainly could have been a heck of a lot worse. All right, next clip. Deegan just, wow. Honestly, pretty much owning Jeremy in this turn. That's a that's a confident rider. I mean, I would have just given him that spot and went to the outside, and Deegan was like, nope, 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 this is my rut. Yeah, Deegan's riding really well, especially on a track where this is Jeremy Martin's type of track, right? Super impressive. Man, he just hung right in there. That's cool to watch. All right, moving on. We're just moving through these clips quickly here. What do we got? Another Thrasher crash. So this one is exactly the same situation as the Moran's one. The only difference here is he sat into the face, which is actually going to make matters worse when it comes to your bike deflecting itself left or right when you get into this sharp pocket right here. I think it was less of a matter of cross-rutting. I think the announcers said that the face had some lines in it, which it did, but barely. Right when you land this, it didn't have too many ruts formed all day long, but it was just such a G-out that it made the bikes react a little bit unpredictable. Next clip, Hunter with the win. I tell you what, I commented on his Instagram, just a little disappointed with the lack of freestyle trick. I think we could have done something maybe a little better off the finish line here, although, I mean, he did a one-hander, one-footer. We'll give it to him. He had two limbs off the bike. Tell you what, the burnout, though, really good. Like, does he practice these? There's an upshift. There's another upshift. Just another upshift. So that's probably fourth gear, fifth gear. Those are hard to do. I tried to do one on my two-stroke at Atlanta last year. Didn't realize that you had to upshift and just spun myself out and tipped over. Man, that's got to feel good, huh? Good job, Hunter. Pretty solid day, if I don't say so myself. All right, moving on. Next clip. This section was horrible. This is my least favorite section of the track, just because when you hit the off camber in that first right-hander at the beginning of the clip, this one right here, it was so far out of the way, and when you would slingshot out of that, there was a blind moment. You couldn't tell or know, didn't know what the guy behind you was doing. Let's say you're Tomac in this situation here. You're blind, you're blind, you're blind, you're blind. You can't see the rider until you're here, until you're committed on the gas out of that rut. Then you go, oh crap, there's somebody coming right for me right now. That's amazing how close they get, right? And that was, Sexton knew that was coming. I guess Tomac didn't really until last second. Wow, that's crazy. Yeah, wasn't a huge fan of that section at all. It was basically, it didn't really present any passing opportunities necessarily. I'd say if they're going to leave the track again the same next year, change up that section a little bit. How much of a beast is Tomac, though? I mean, and Webb, for Webb to keep up with Tomac on a track like this, that just, wow. Good strength, too. Tomac didn't case that the right way, but then again, he didn't expect that to happen. He thought he was going to be able to make Webb give up on it, and this is where Webb is just stubborn. He's like, nope, I'm taking this inside line no matter what. And the reason it catapulted, kind of projected him off the front, ejected him over the front as much as it did, is he just lands basically sitting down off the back of the seat. So now that's just going to act as a springboard. Most riders would have Superman completely over the front of the bike, but that's a lot of core strength. When he impacts here and then gets flung up, that's tightening your core as tight as you can, tightening your abs as tight as you can, and holding yourself in that position, and a lot of arm strength too. I'm telling you, most people would have right over the bike right there. But Tomac is just a beast. And so is Webb for making a pass like that on Tomac. This was a weird one. I remember seeing this one in real time and thinking that Webb just let him by. I think they do a replay. I don't know what this one was all about. Maybe when he came over the finish line, Webb could have been in the wrong gear. It almost looks as though he hits neutral. You see Webb, he checks up, which the strategy here, coming down the straightaway, you did have to slow down a little bit because there wasn't any lip on this jump here. You could barely even tell it's a jump. You had to try to get in the pocket and try to get that little bit of a preload. So you had to slow down, and then you see him extend the legs right here, squats down, then extends the legs. That's an attempt of a preload, and he's a neutral. He's got to be, because, yeah, I don't know. That's very odd. It would not fling him forward like that if he didn't find neutral for that split second. Maybe a false neutral and just hung up for that split second just enough. It's lucky he didn't endo himself. And he's also lucky that didn't happen on the next jump when he was trying to go 3 instead of that little 2 that didn't really have any consequence to it. Next clip. I don't know what I'm watching here. Yeah, that section, as simple as that looked coming under the bridge and then going 2-2-2, was so slippery. And this was interesting. So this is not something, being Sexton, I wouldn't do this to Barcia, unless you just didn't know that this was Barcia. He kind of, although was that by accident? Okay, so he knows there's a guy there. Yeah, you wonder how much Chase meant to move over to the right on here. I think yeah, interesting situation. I mean, just a misjudgment by Chase a little bit. I think because what Barcia's going to do, no matter what, is Barcia's going to just try to shove it in there and make it work. Whether he thinks it's going to work or end up in a midair collision, that's just what he's going to do. Chase is smart in this situation, though, because right here when he realizes, oh, boy, we're going to collide, watch, he throws his butt into it. And Barcia's smart, too. Barcia throws his head into it. And the idea with that is you're trying to collide with your bodies instead of the bikes. Because if the bikes latch onto each other, you're just getting tangled up. If you can kind of like lean your body into it and hope you just ricochet off with your body, which is what ends up happening, that's best case scenario. So actually a really good instinct by both of those guys to kind of throw their bodies into it in that way. Barcia just somehow gaining time while he's off the track. And then I don't know if Dr. Irresistible put it in here or not, but we had the other Sexton situation. So stalls it. He made a lot of mistakes in this race. And then another situation of, is there space? No, not really. But of course, Barcia's going to go for it. And then Sexton maybe should have been aware that that was, again, Barcia coming. So, like, do we give way a little bit? Or maybe, honestly, at that point, Sexton very well might have just not known that there was anybody there, because in his head, he stalls it. Although you'd see right here, he would have seen Barcia jump in that double. Then you're going to hear the guy coming around the outside of you. Oof, yeah. It just being around Barcia, but then again, I'm the wrong guy to talk about this because I would always err too much on the side of caution to where it would cost myself time. I would get passed by that guy constantly. But you have to know that Barcia is always going to try and put it somewhere where it may or may not work. So you have to be careful in closing that gap. Now, if that's like a, if this is Sexton and that's Roxon, different story. Roxon's going to give way and you guys are both going to be safe. But Barcia's going to send it. And that's why he does so well, because he just doesn't have that hesitation that a lot of riders have. Barcia was riding extremely, extremely well, by the way, because the top three were killing it, and he was right there with them. And how about Tomac? Just a complete, absolute beast. What's crazy and what's really surreal and cool is that I have grown up racing him since we were little kids, and now to think that he is in the top three and going to pass for second, right? Is he third all time? Now he's going to be second all time at the end of the season ever in Supercross. That's wild. But just a beast. You could tell he just loves listening to that YZ 450. Just always revving the throttle. Did he have roll-offs on? Wow, he did. Probably because it was raining in that main event. Okay, definitely could have done the burnout for longer. Gives his goggles away, doesn't throw him. Smart move. Yeah, I mean, legendary. Definitely legendary. Like, how can you just keep winning over and over and over and over again at that place? That guy is probably so rich. Man, we need to get him a part of Moto Academy. I said it on the podcast earlier, but I want to get Tomac doing some Moto Academy classes. He's been so elusive his whole career. It's the least he can do, right, Eli? Jeez, become part of Moto Academy. Teach some people your ways. We'll get in touch with him. We'll get in touch with his mom, Kathy, or his dad, John. All right. There you have it, guys. Little breakdown. I'm tired. The lips are chapped. I flew straight from Daytona to class in Louisiana. We are flying all over the country. Q3, so June, July, August, we're going to be going international with it. Moto Academy is going everywhere, and we are constantly releasing new dates. So if you guys want to train with me in person, go to tour.themotoacademy.com, check out where we're going to be, and keep checking that website periodically as we're always adding new locations. If you want to train with me on a consistent basis, all the time, every day, every week, get inside of the app, download the app, train with us online at club.themotoacademy.com. And just a reminder, brand new channel, subscribe to it. Thank you guys for all of your support, Moto Academy, and people find me at these races and tell me every single day. It is amazing to see the growth of something really special. You almost can track the progress of just the amount of Moto Academy shirts that you see at a race. It's insane how many people I see walking around with Moto Academy shirts, and from year to year to year, it is just grown into something crazy. So thank you guys for that. Daytona breakdown next weekend. It's Indy. A lot of ruts. Probably going to be a lot of carnage. Indy is where I had my best finish ever with the 4th. Yes, I've been top 5 before, guys. I was fast once upon a time. We're going to be fast there this weekend. If you're going, come find us. Say hi. If you're not, tune in next week for another breakdown of The good old Supercross races. Okay. I'm out of here. Toodaloo.